I love Zoom because we can come from wherever we are in the planet and yeah, share this time together. So I'm in Deal, a seaside town in East Kent, and yes, so particularly warm welcome to to everybody, but particularly people who joined us in the break. The guys from the introductory course. I hope that's going well for you all. And yeah, here's I imagine your first Sangha night, hopefully the first of many. So yeah, and lovely to see, well, everybody, but particularly some friends. I mean, Kalyana, Prasanavir is one of my Kalyana Mitras, so know him very well. And yeah, lots of you I have connections with through the years. So yeah, I love this. So this is my 34th book launch around the planet, and I've been all over the world. So it's really nice touching in on all these wonderful sanghas. So it's sanghas everywhere. It's such a great thing, Triratna in this world. So I'm so glad to be part of it and join you all. So this evening I'm going to give you a talk called Actions Have Consequences. And we'll then have breakout groups. So whilst I'm talking, do notice anything that particularly strikes you in relation to your life and that you want to think about or include or act on. And there'll definitely be things. So and then you can take those to the breakout group. So jot them down. And so, because we forget, well, I do, and so jot them down so you can sort of take them and chat to some of the others with each other then. So yeah, actions have consequences, don't they? Well, we're all old enough to have learnt that by now, but our actions do have consequences, don't they? But not only on us, they have consequences for others and actually the world. We really affect the world. And when I was starting to put this talk together, I was thinking, well, where do actions come from? Where do my actions come from? And I think they come from views. They come from my views, sort of my overall sort of ethical perspective on life. And all of which comes from what we've learned on this journey so far. So our education, sort of broad education, really. And I think our education starts when we're born. Actually, our birth has quite a profound effect on us. Not that we know much about it at the time, but then also, how our caregivers are with us, how they behave with us. We learn a lot. And well, I don't know about you, but my first memory is when I was 4. So, there was a lot of caregiving going on up until then, and I didn't know much about it. But it was obviously going in through osmosis somehow at quite a deep, emotional level. And I don't know if you've got siblings. I have. I've got an older brother and a younger sister. And of course, I was learning a lot from them. But, well, I don't know what spirit got zapped into them, but it was very different from me. We're all so different. We may look alike, but my word, we're all so different in character. So I've learned, from them, over a lot of years. I was sharing, my life with them. So all these things, coming in, it was educating me in a sense. And then, well, we're all creating our choices, our actions, which are having a consequence on ourselves and others in the world from all this sort of education. So, we go at life with these views from, well, lots of things. Then we have a school education, our role models, such as teachers or grandparents or friends, well, and the surrounding culture. It's pretty powerful, the surrounding culture. It depends where we were born, what country we live in. It really does affect us. And of course, very differently depending on where we lived. And therefore, from all this, we're sort of creating actions which having consequences based on views that were never mine. Actually, they were never mine. There were all these collection of other things, other people. It wasn't actually until I was 30 years old that I was stopped by quite a serious health situation and sort of woke up to the thoughts I'd never actually asked myself questions like, who am I? What do I think? What are my views? It's sort of like, what consequences am I having on the world, and is that okay? On others. And then on me, of course. So through a health situation, I was stopped. I had to look inside. I had to feel. I had to listen to myself more deeply. I didn't have a choice. I was actually bedbound for 13 months. And so, at that point, I basically realized that I'd taken on blindly other people's emotional worldviews and gone at life without checking in deeply with my own inner nature, my own voice, my own unique spirit. What got zapped in here? What's it here for, this lifetime? And I like to think that actually we are all a work of art. We're all creating our own work of art. I'm creating mine, you're creating yours. What work of art are you becoming? I can be really loving and kind to you, or I can be harsh and angry, and all that has an effect. And is it beautiful or not? And sort of everything we do in our actions, our thoughts, our words has an effect, and we're creating our own work of art. Now, I became unwell by following others' perceptions of how things are, how other people thought I should be. And as we know, most humans are driven by the three poisons, greed, hatred, and ignorance. So I was following people who wanted to just thought happiness was getting more, or pushing those away. I don't want that, that'll make me happy. And this is all through ignorance. But slowly I've learned through the great Dharma that it's generosity, love, and wisdom which creates a beautiful life existence. I imagine your life, will have resonances with things like, with taking actions at times, and then suffering the consequences, and seeing sort of little insights that action did not bring me happiness or contentment. Often it brought the opposite. And even though we've had many little insights, sometimes we can keep repeating these habits. And I mean, like maybe, when we're young. I mean, you may have done this, you may not, I certainly did. Went out with my friends, my mates, and had a few to drink, and then had a few too many, and went home and woke up the next morning and felt dreadful, absolutely dreadful. And what do you say? Never again. I'm not doing that again. And a few months later, there I am out, and they say, oh, go on, miserable, have a drink. And there I am again, having done it again. I mean, it's maybe a gross situation, but I'm sure it's happened to most of us. But we do this in many ways. And I think we do these things, we sort of do these things that harm us, actually. And I think it's because we haven't yet built up our own sort of core of self-worth, our own knowledge of self-love. This is metta bhavana, and this is first stage. It is so important that we really see how our actions are affecting, what the consequences are having, and is this kind? Is this kind? And then there's the other thing going on, which you soon learn as you do the mindfulness of breathing, is, there's all these characters, I sort of think, that sort of in my mind, sort of like, it just depends what characters are on duty at the moment. And so, it's sort of like, I can think, right, okay, I'm on a diet for whatever health reason, and that's what I'm going to do, and I've got really good willpower, and I've got, all the right things in, and that's what I'm going to do. And then I have a dodgy night's sleep that night. And we all know what a dodgy night's sleep's like. The next day you're sort of dragging yourself through the day a bit, and the willpower's gone. And there I am having a cream and jam donut at lunchtime, thinking, well, how did that happen? It just happens to be it's a different character on duty that's not quite so keen on the diet. And there's all these characters. And of course, this is integration. This is getting to know ourselves. It's getting to know our mind, isn't it? And of course, we have to remember who's choosing all the time. And it's sort of like we need to we're galvanizing and getting all these sort of characters going in one direction, sort of a loving, kindly direction. Um, yes. Oh, excuse me a second. So at some point, for you to be listening to me right now, you'll have been stopped by your own suffering, by creating your own suffering or suffering that's happened to you. And that suffering has begged you to stop and look and feel at how you're creating your life. Listen more deeply. And well, that's what happened to me. And over the past sort of 25 years, I've learned a lot. And now there's 25 chapters in here of many, many, many of the things that have helped me create, well, a very, very different life through the Dharma. And and be sure, we have to really be sure that it's us doing the creating. There's no one ever to blame. And this is one of the things I love about Buddhism, is that the Buddha says we have to take full responsibility. Blaming is futile. It just creates more suffering. It's me doing it all. It's just how it is. And of course, bad things happen. But it's then how we respond to that. It's then a choice whether we make it worse or what's the best I can do. I may as well be my best friend. I'm going to be with myself all my life. It's just, why not be your best friend, and why make it worse? So who is creating your life? Who is acting? Who is speaking? Who is choosing your thoughts? Well, I'm doing mine. Well, it doesn't always seem like it, especially choosing my thoughts, but it is me. So I'm just going to talk about 6 chapters now, just a little bit about each. So the first one is chapter 2, and it's called It's Never Not Now. It's never not now, is it? It's never not now. But most people miss most of their lives because they're not in their now. And actually, your life is only happening now. You probably, if you sort of think, just before the class, you can sort of probably remember what you're doing, but it's all a bit vaguey. Whereas actually now, hopefully it's quite bright, isn't it? It's the place where we have the most information from our senses, coming in. But mostly we're in the past, we're in this mind of the past of either regretting this, that, or the other, or thinking, oh, so-and-so shouldn't have done this, and running over stories, and just sort of like, often carrying pain for years from things that happened, 10, 20, 30, 40, well, and for me, 50 years ago, and we don't need to ruin our nows with all that, actually. So that's why, we need to learn from the past. That's really helpful. Or we're in the future, we're in this sort of mind-made soap opera of the future. And it's all mind-made, all my sort of thoughts of the future are just a soap. It's not going to happen like that, is it? So it's sort of like, we really need to be here now. And hopefully we've got millions more nows, but don't miss them. So it's never not now. And I'll talk a lot more about other things in that. Now you are absolutely stuffed full of love. Where else can it be apart from in you? Is it up on the shelf, or, has somebody else got yours? Nobody's got any more love or any less than anybody else. It's whether you choose to let it live. It's whether you're loving, it's whether you're friendly. And you are stuffed full of kindness and courage and confidence and patience. The Buddha says we've got all these qualities in us. It's just whether we let them exist in the world. It's a choice, isn't it? And this is in a chapter 16, called Let Your Love Live. And there's a lot more about, how we can do that in that chapter. So at this point, I want to state the obvious, actually, but I hardly ever hear it said in relation to talks on actions having consequences. And that is, not acting has consequences. Non-actions have consequences. Now, it's not that one's right and one's wrong, because sometimes not acting is the really best thing to do. It's just there is the two. And I think that really needs to be remembered. There's a choice. But chapter 6 I've called, I Can't Change. I can't change. Have you ever said that? Have you heard people say it? I certainly heard it said at the end of March last year, where people say, I can't learn Zoom. Can't do Zoom. Well, and people have missed out a lot if they didn't, haven't they? Because the world has gone on to Zoom. Well, my world's gone on to Zoom, and it's a wonderful thing, isn't it? Well, we're all here together now. So we can change. The thing is, in fact, we are change. It's just, we are a process. I was born. I'll die. Got a few more wrinkles than I did when I was born. I'm a bit bigger than when I was born. My hair's are definitely a different colour. And bits are dropping off. So I'm sitting here. It's just, we are process. We are change. The question is, how do you want to change? It's taking the rein. The sort of the reins again. It's, you have to take full responsibility. So you can change. I mean, I never, as Artitude City said, I never thought I'd write a book, for sure. And it was actually our preceptor, because Artitude and I were ordained by Ratnagasha. And I was talking to him one day about, talking about a book. And I said, it's just way above me. He said, oh, don't think about writing a book. He said, just write a page. And I thought, oh, I can do that. So a couple of days later, I sat down and with just this blank notebook, and I started this page, and I'd got a chapter within an hour. The next morning I got a second chapter, and then the next morning I got the third. It's sort of like, oh, perhaps I can change, So chapter 6, I can't change. Excuse me. Chapter 17 is a chapter that a lot of people have read my book, because it's been out since October. Actually, I had an email from Windhorse a couple of days ago telling me that it's their bestseller by a long way. So it's really selling. It's selling really well in America and Canada as well as in Europe. And actually, India has just asked if they can have it translated into Marathi. They're going to do it. So that's exciting. So lots of people have written to me telling me things about the book and things they like and whatever. And this chapter, many people mention as their favourite chapter, but they think it's probably the hardest to integrate in their lives. It's called Discipline is Enjoyable. Discipline is enjoyable. Now, you might not often put those two words together, but it's a loving discipline. Well, don't you? If you've all learned to meditate, and the people on the introductory course where you're learning, and if you try to get a practice going at home, a daily practice at home, you need a bit of discipline, don't you, to get it to happen. And I know that, I have managed that, but, 26 years I've been doing it, and but it's made a much richer life and more enjoyable life because I've applied that discipline. There's loads of things I talk about in this chapter. Discipline is enjoyable, but I'm just going to share with you three of the points that I'm raising, and I think these are absolutely fundamental for any happy, healthy human life, whatever life you're leading, and they are sleep, diet, and exercise. And I really don't think we look at these often enough because, well, let's take sleep. I've learned that a routine of sleep, going to bed at the same time, getting out at the same time, having a regular routine, it's really helpful for me. I feel so much better. So I had a period of time where I didn't have any work or whatever. I just asked this body, when do you like to sleep? And what happened was it likes going to bed at 9, and I wake at 4:52. I don't need an alarm clock, I wake at 4:52. And that's what I've done for years, okay? And of course, I can't always go to bed at 9. Tonight, I'll be a bit late. For you, I'll do that. But, the routine really helps me. I've also learned one other thing, is that if I get up within 2 or 3 minutes of waking, I'm bright for the day, mind and energy. If I think, oh, I'm just going to have a lie in, and I nod off again for half an hour, wake up later, I'm boggy, I'm not as bright, and that stays like that for the day. Now check it out. I mean, I see loads of patients through my life, and I've told them this thing, and the ones who do it, they say, "Oh yeah," and it's true. And so I get up of just about, just after 4:52, and I feel bright for the day. So, and then diet. Actually, I don't like the word diet actually, because in a way, well, we're all on a diet of food and drink, aren't we? It's just what we put in. But some of it is poison and some of it isn't. And I've learned for me that actually wheat, dairy, sugar, chili, bananas are not good for this body. So, just through over time, it takes time, do this food exclusion, asking this body, don't listen to anybody else or any diet, ask your body, it'll tell you. And I feel so much better avoiding those things. I feel as healthy now as probably I have in all my life. And I'm 61, and I sort of feel it is sleep and diet. And then the last one, exercise. Now, actually, I did carry on getting away with not exercising until about 8 years ago. And then I thought, oh, I better do something. And I really wanted to do something for my heart and lungs. And so I was sort of looking around, what shall I do? Because you've got to enjoy it. Well, you won't do it for very long, will you? That's for sure. And so I was watching a few clips on YouTube, and it had just been the London Marathon. And they were interviewing the oldest guy who just completed his 23rd consecutive London Marathon, and he was 89. Then they interviewed the oldest woman, who was 86. She just completed her 18th consecutive London Marathon. I thought, oh, Danapriya, you can trot along the seafront for a few kilometres if they can do that. I've got no excuse. So I started doing that about 8 years ago, and now actually I really enjoy it, and I do go 3 times a week, and I just do about 4 or 5 kilometres. That's plenty, thank you. Keeps me going. But I do still just resist a bit before I go out. Well, I don't know why we resist what's good for us or what we enjoy. It's just the way it is. I've got no answer to that. We just have to have that little bit of discipline to push us out. And then I do, and I'm really always pleased I have. So we're nearly there. So the last chapter I'm going to touch on is what we dwell on, we become. Again, you don't need much more than the title, do you? What we dwell on, we become. It's just how it is. So what do you read? What are you taking in? Who do you mix with? Are they helping you become who you want to become? And are you helping them? It's just everything we look at. What are you watching on YouTube? Is it helping you? It's blimey, how much news you've been taking in the last year. What a waste of time if you are. And it doesn't cheer anybody up, does it? Yes, we need to know what to do to keep safe, but that's the limit, really, I think. Anyway, we all have to make our choices, and that's fine. Our actions have our own consequences. And and like, what movies do you watch? I've certainly watched a lot more this last year. And well, I will share. I do have one addiction, and my addiction is that I love romantic movies. But so I do watch a lot of romantic movies. But I'm hoping it's helping me become more loving. So that hopefully is a good consequence. But anyway, hey ho, we'll see. So, actions. Actions. Well, you could buy my book. It's an ebook as well. Or you might already have it. I know some of you read it actually. Well, you could buy some more for friends, couldn't you, if you liked it? So, you could buy It's Not Out There from your local bookshop when it's open. Or you could buy it from Windhorse Publications, our wonderful Triratna Buddhist publisher. Or you could buy it from Amazon or someone like that, And depending on which of these actions you take, it will have its effect, won't it? So do you want to help your local bookshop? Stay there. Do you like having a local bookshop? Because they're disappearing like flies, aren't they? And if you do, well, go and buy it there, because that helps the bookshop and Windhorse. Or do you want to buy it at Windhorse Publications? They're a small Buddhist publisher. And it's great that we've got a small Buddhist publisher. But small Buddhist publishers struggle. And actually, my book is a first for them because it's going out to a far bigger market than their usual books are, because it's going to anybody from any walk of life. And and that's what they need to happen. So if you want to, buy it from Windhorse Publications. Or of course, if you want to help a huge greedy corporation get bigger and risk lots of small businesses going out of business, well then buy it at Amazon. Yes, I know it's easy to do and press all those buttons, but actually, what effect is this having on our planet, on the world, on others, and on you? Anyway, there's lots of lessons in that one, because every choice we make has its effect on the world. If you buy my book, and even more importantly, if you read it, do let me know what you think. I've got a website, danapriya.org. Just message me. I'll be clearly pleased to know. I've started book 2, so the more you tell me, the more I can sort of put in other things in book 2. And well, how this came about really was I was 60 year before last, and I thought, what's this next decade about? What's this next decade about? Next 10 years, my energy will decline. Well, that's if I have 10 years, don't know about that yet, but hopefully I will. And I came up with this phrase, I want to share what I've been given. I want to share what I've been given. I've been given to by so much, by so many wise teachers, on so many classes like this, or so many retreats and just friends. And I just wanted to share it. So it's not out there. Has become a really keen way for me to share it with everybody. And we are all absolutely amazing. We've all got all the qualities we need to see differently and live an extraordinary, ordinary life. So anyway, hopefully that's been a little bit of something to help you. Hope you've come up with something to take to the breakout groups. Thank you for listening and still being here. And yes, I think very shortly Adele's going to zap us off somewhere or another, and then we'll see you back after the breakout groups. And if you have any questions or comments, we won't have that long, but please ask. Okay, so thank you.